Well, we want to talk to the people, right?
We are live in New York State, where there have been many protests demanding the end of beagle testing. The beagle battle is heating up in New York State, where the largest beagle breeding facility is, with reportedly well over 16,000 beagles destined for experimentation. And there have been days of protest outside the facility. Now, in a shocking turn of events, both men who seek the district's congressional seat are speaking up against beagle experimentation. You already had Republican Congressman Nick Langworthy, you see him talking there, talking against the whole concept of beagle experimentation. And now his Democratic opponent, Aaron Giles, is scheduled to speak at any moment to protesters outside Marshall Bioresources. So it's amazing that you have these two congressional candidates. One is the incumbent, the other is challenging him, and they're both speaking out against beagle experimentation. That in itself is a breakthrough. Let's go straight out to New York, live from New York. And it's not Saturday night. What it is a protest against beagle experimentation. Jamie Sesson, take it away. Okay, we can't hear you. Wait, let's unmute you, my dear. Unmute. Okay, yes. Go ahead.
Hi, Jane. Yeah, we're here in upstate New York, North Rose, New York, in Wayne County at Marshall Bioresources. We have protesters here, some of them behind me here, some in front of me. And we do have the Democratic congressional candidate Aaron Giles here to speak to us. We also have Kelly with League of Humane Voters. So they're about to start speaking in just a moment.
Yeah. And so how many people are there?
We've got about 50 people out here today. We had slightly less than that out here yesterday as well.
And so do you find it interesting that both candidates, one the incumbent and one a challenger, are both speaking out against a beagle experimentation? I mean, honestly, that would have been unheard of even just a year or two ago, when it was sort of a subject that nobody wanted to even talk about.
Yes, I think after what we all saw happen with Ridglan farms in Wisconsin, it's becoming a very hot topic, and the political pressure is building to end this kind of cruel experimentation.
So we're looking at images of one of the beagle rescue, the mass rescues that went on in Wisconsin at the Ridglan Beagle facility. We've got some breaking news on that front, as well as we wait for the member of the congressional candidate to speak. And that breaking news is that the district attorney in Wisconsin has decided it is going to charge 51 additional alleged Ridglan rescuers. So that is huge breaking news. We do not know who these people are. You're just seeing images of people who went there to rescue beagles, but we don't know who these additional 51 people who are going to be charged are. There's the famous Baywatch actress Alexandra Paul. She was there at one of these events. But, you know, we're going to keep talking to you. Tell us that he's speaking. So why don't you turn the camera around and get ready for that?
I will turn it around, and we are ready to get started here.
Okay.
So
all right.
Kelly with League of Humane Voters introducing the congressional candidate now.
Sounds good. Thank you. Turn it around and get as close to the loudspeaker as you
everyone.
can.
I'm Kelly Chafee. I am with the League of Humane Voters. I'm also with another group called Humane Options New York. And I just wanted to start out by saying, you know, like a lot of you, when I was young, I've been in animal welfare for as long as I can remember. And when I was young, I thought maybe I was from a different planet because, you know, I'd be the one picking up a worm off this hot sidewalk, putting it in the grass, getting upset at my siblings for trying to step on ants. And I really thought maybe, you know, there was something wrong with me. However, in 1984, beginning of the year, I got an offer, thought it was going to be a dream job at the SPCA in Cattaraugus County. And I was going to be working with the animals. I just couldn't wait. My father begged me not to go. He said, don't go. It's all politics. I said, no, Dad, it's dogs and cats. And it's funny how he got smarter through the years, you know. But anyway, in 1984, the shelter killed over 2,000 animals that year. And I was horrified. I mean, isn't this Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals? Why are we killing our animals that we're supposed to be protecting? I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I took in 1985, I mean, I'm going to leave. I can't do this anymore. And they fired the executive director and asked me, I just turned 23, and they asked me if I would run the place for a short period while they found another executive director. And I said, I will, but there's two things. You got to find someone else to do it, because I don't like people. I like animals. And number two, I'm not going to kill anything. That is wrong. I'm not killing anything. So they said, okay, just as long as you're here, you don't have to kill anything if you're in charge. Well, that's how the SPCA in Cattaraugus County became no kill in 1985. And you're welcome. You're welcome. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because all across the nation, shelters were killing animals to the tune of 17 million that got killed in 1984. However, I was probably too young to know that I was a part of a movement just by standing there saying I won't kill animals. And a lot of other places had said, enough, we're done killing. So fast forward to 2025, statistics show that a little over 500,000 animals were killed in the United States. And that's way too many. That's a lot better than 17 million, certainly a lot better than 17 million. So the SPCA is still no kill. So I'm very happy about that. Even though I left in 2013, it's still no kill. And if they even tried to kill animals there, what's funny now is that they would take a public beating. And I don't know if it would just be in the paper. People would be really upset if they tried to kill animals now. So that's the good news. When I was, I would say probably 6 months ago, I would say I could never see an end to the cruel and inhumane breeding and experiments on animals. 6 months ago, I would say it's not going to happen in my lifetime. I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel that way anymore. I feel this. I feel because you guys are all here and all this public pressure that's going on that happened in Ridglan, that's happening here. I think I'm going to see it in my lifetime. I really do. And how do we do that? How do we come across? How do we get there? Public pressure, lots and lots of public pressure, lots of work, but also electing candidates that will be in there for the animals, that will protect them from all this cruelty. And well, after the SPCA, I was exhausted, I heartbroken. I can't do this anymore. I can't do animal rescue anymore. But when it's in your blood, it's in your blood. So a few years later, that's when I joined the League of Humane Voters. And I just wanted to say it's our great pleasure that the League of Humane Voters is going to be endorsing Aaron Gies. And Aaron, Aaron is the Democratic candidate for the 23rd District in New York State. And he's going to be running against incumbent Nick Langworthy. I just want to say that Aaron, from what we've seen of his work, he walks the walk. And he's no hype. He's telling exactly what he's going to do. And when I say he walks the walk, literally, I think 6 counties you won, right? There's 6 counties? Yeah.
So 5 counties endorsed us ahead of the primary, but we won all 9 counties.
9 counties. Oh, I'm way off. 9 counties. And by a landslide, I must add, by a land.
I just want to make very clear that Unchained TV is a 501c3 nonprofit. We do not get involved in partisan politics. We do not endorse candidates. This is a live protest outside Marshall Bioresources in New York State that has about 15, 16, maybe some say as many as 20,000 beagles used for experimentation. The incumbent Republican recently spoke against beagle experimentation at this very location. And now the Democratic candidate is speaking against beagle experimentation at the same spot. We're here to cover the protest. We do not endorse any candidates. I want to make that perfectly clear. But what is interesting is that a couple of years ago, no candidates from any party would want to talk about this. And now they're falling over each other to denounce beagle experimentation. So this is a huge, huge leap forward, and it shows the mainstreaming of anti-vivisection movement. Very quickly, your thoughts on that as we wait for the candidate. Lindsay. Yes.
Well, I think it's very interesting, and I totally agree that it's a bipartisan issue and both sides will jump on the bandwagon. But in my opinion, I don't care how we get it. I just want us to get it. We need animals to stop being tested on. Scientists need animals to stop being tested on. They do not want that flawed data. And I say it's flawed because I've spoken to a lot of scientists in interviews I've done, and they say when the animal is stressed, the tests are not accurate. That's one point. The other point is they're not humans.
Exactly. And Hurik, as an anti-vivisection expert, we have all these modern systems now, organs on a chip, AI, quantum computing. Quickly, your thoughts on that.
I think anything that we can bring to the attention of the masses that they feel comfortable that the animals don't have to be tortured is wonderful, whether it's chips or organs on a chips or human cell culture tissues. That's wonderful. And as Lindsay said, the most critical thing is we have to understand that animals, rats and mice, are two different species from each other. Rats and mice react differently in the lab from each other to the same drugs or chemicals. So to expect that they're going to shed any light on a drug, for example, that is going to help human beings is preposterous. And that's important to bring up. And I think that it's great to have all the politicians, and politicians aren't just born out of the blue. It's all the activism and all the education and all the coverage that people like us, all the younger generation, the older generation do, that gives birth to these anti-vivisectionist candidates. So I'm very happy to hear about them. All the candidates, I don't care what politics they're about.
Exactly. So we just want to make it very clear, when we're live, we have no idea what people are going to say at any given moment. But it's very important as a 501c3 nonprofit to make clear that we are not endorsing any candidates and we don't get involved in partisan politics. Both the Republican and the Democratic candidate are speaking against Beagle testing. Now let's listen to the Democratic candidate,
Thanks
Aaron
all of you
Giles.
for coming. Thank you for being here for the Beagles, obviously, and the other animals that are in this facility, not for me. But it's so inspiring and encouraging to see all of you folks out here. As she said, I'm Aaron Giles, Democratic and Working Families candidate for Congress in New York District 23. I'm grateful for the invitation to be here with you today and to stand with you in demanding an end to animal cruelty and exploitation at Marshall Farms. As a Catholic theologian and a professor at St. Bonaventure University, I have been profoundly shaped by the life and teaching of St. Francis of Assisi, who died 800 years ago this year. St. Francis saw plants, animals, and even natural forces like wind and fire as brothers and sisters, worthy of reverence and respect. He sought to learn from them. And when he saw them being exploited, he intervened. He didn't understand science or ecosystems. It was the 13th century. But he was always attentive to the needs of his brothers and sisters. He told his followers to plant what we would call pollinator gardens next to their vegetable gardens because he noticed bees liked them. Kelly, he also did that worm thing. What a stark contrast that is to the situation here at Marshall Farms. Behind all this tasteful landscaping, dogs and cats, ferrets and pigs are bred at scale to be sold. The labs that purchase them perform cruel, inhumane experiments on them. My wife is a veterinarian with 20 years of experience in practice. Every pet store ferret my wife has ever seen has a tattoo in its ear indicating that it began its life here at Marshall Farms. In the time she has been in practice, she has seen the lifespan of these ferrets decrease by 25%, from 8 years to 6 years. They all die of the same diseases that are not common in countries where Marshall Farms doesn't ship. The inhumane practices of this company have been reported by whistleblowers and documented by inspectors, and yet there have been no consequences that would force the company to change how they do business or risk being put out of business. My opponent, Nick Langworthy, whom I know has been here, has made saving the Beagles a prominent theme of his re-election campaign. He recently proposed a new bill in committee that would limit how federal dollars may be spent for animal testing as part of NIH research. But the legislation addresses only the small world of grants to the NIH, and it includes a carve-out for any testing that has no viable alternative. That is not ending animal cruelty, as Langworthy claims, but erecting a tiny bureaucratic hurdle for scientists while the breeding continues and the business world goes on torturing animals to test consumer products. Mr. Langworthy received a grade of 0 from the League of Humane Voters. He voted against renewing the Endangered Species Act. He supports the Save Our Bacon Act, which prohibits states from outlawing farrowing crates, which are steel coffins in which sows are confined on factory farms for their natural lives. The animals behind these walls are not political props, not for me, not for anyone else. They need consistent, dedicated advocates who will advance public policy that respects their dignity. There is so much cruelty and indifference in this world. But I can tell you that I have met many, many people in my district who remind me of St. Francis, who extend love and compassion and treat others, including non-human others, the way they want to be treated. Yesterday, my wife and I were lucky enough to be invited by the Seneca Nation to inspect the bison herd at Gakuyo Farms. I hope I said that right. The nation now manages a herd of 32 bison on 92 acres. Traveling to the paddock, I saw deer, fox, ducks, geese, herons, squirrels, and chipmunks, and understory plants I haven't seen anywhere else in the district. These bison are not on display. They are not being tortured. They are doing what bison do. And by doing it, they are supporting and enriching an ecosystem that co-evolved with them. They belong there. My campaign is built around the common good. The idea that when we design policy with the needs of everyone in mind, we all win. That's true with animals too. Cruelty and exploitation make a few people rich and all of us poorer. When we treat animals with respect and kindness, we also benefit. So if elected to Congress, I will work to advance animal welfare, end state-sanctioned animal cruelty, and hold those who violate the law accountable. I know that you are listening and that you expect more from politicians than words. And I'm grateful to you for your passion and for your compassion. Thanks for being here. Thank you for hearing me. Let's keep working together to end animal cruelty at Marshall Farms and working towards a science without suffering. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Really extraordinary what we're seeing here. Really, really extraordinary.
I want to thank you all for coming out today. I think in a few minutes we're going to have some musical acts, so stay tuned. We're going to set up for that.
All right. I want to get some round robin reaction. Lindsay Baker, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's extraordinary that both candidates are making this issue so important. And I think it just shows how much power we as citizens have if we use our voices. And that's what we're seeing here. It was like a tsunami starting with Wayne and the whole group that went in there first. And look what happened. It just built into something tremendous, and it's feeding into this whole awareness across the country that is making candidates take note, which is great.
Absolutely. And we've got some comments here. Thank you. Thank you for being there to defend animals. This is interesting. These speakers are saying animals shouldn't be experimented on because they're not like humans. So if they were like humans, would it be okay? No, nothing done without consent ever. Can you weigh in on that, Horik?
Absolutely. People think that for medical science to progress, somebody has to be tortured, but that's a fallacy. If, for example, if Lindsay, if you are sick, you have something wrong with you, do you think it would make sense for you to stay in your bed and send your husband to the doctor? It wouldn't. Because human beings who spontaneously, naturally come down with a disease, they hold the key to the solution. And the only way that drugs and remedies can be found for sick human beings is to look at human beings that spontaneously, naturally have developed an ailment, not an artificially induced tumor, let's say in a rat. First of all, it's not a human being, but even if you artificially try to give epilepsy to a human being, as an example, how would you do that? Maybe you can smash their head with a hammer. They'll have some of the symptoms of epilepsy, like seizures, but that's not the same thing as when a human being naturally develops epilepsy because of God knows what goes on in their human bodies. So yes, it would not work to do experimental research on human beings, even if they consented to it, but it would make every sense to study human beings, patients, clinical research who desperately need help, but the medical industry is so much entangled with the vivisectionist industry that they abandon the human beings who desperately need help, and they are busy tinkering with the brains and the bones of lab animals.
Okay, I want to say a couple of things. We've got a lot of breaking news to bring you. As this entire issue goes national and even global, we want to go back to sort of ground zero of the battle against Beagle testing, and that is Ridglan in Wisconsin. So let's recap that, because there's some big breaking news on that front. So here is the first mass rescue at Ridglan. Approximately 31 beagles were taken out. 8 were recaptured by law enforcement, but at least 24 approximately, 24 approximately, are living their best lives somewhere in the world in loving homes. Then you had the next attempted rescue by far more people that ended in complete devastation. Let's take a look at that. Police responded with tear gas and rubber bullets.
Let him go! Let him go in the name of Jesus! The whole world is watching you. Do you know that? Get him out of the gas! That's evil!
So tear gas and rubber bullets. And now we're getting word, breaking news, that the district attorney in Wisconsin is going to charge 51 more people who were involved in one of those rescues, either the first one or the second one. It's unclear. We just got the news release last night. 51 more people. Now, let me just say this. Currently, there are 4 people. You're looking at the 4 people, including the leader of this movement, Wayne Shung, who is the second from the right, who are facing many, many years in prison. We thought that was basically the end of it, but now we have word that 51 additional open rescuers will be charged. So that is the breaking news. Let's go back to what's happening in New York and listen in as somebody else speaks.
Vibe, I guess. And then we're going to have Lord Waya, who's going to bring us more of a rap type vibe. But like I said, the most beautiful thing about this, I think, is not only do we get to meet the best animals, but it really allows us to meet the best people. And this is something that could really, we have to take comfort in one another, right? Because we know that what's going on over there, it's cold, it's cruel, and it's enough to bring us to our knees. So this is where music could really, I think, uplift us and give us all something to, just help us unify, because that's what they need more than anything else. We've got to stay strong. We've got to stand tall during this fight. So I'm just kind of rambling on, but Vanessa Dawson, everyone. Oh, and Vanessa, just so you know, she doesn't just sing the song. She also walks the walk. Vanessa runs her own sanctuary, Penelope's Place, which is for birds, because obviously our focus is on beagles. There's far more than just beagles in there. And once you do this, and it took everyone, it takes us a while because we're conditioned to believe, people are here and dogs are somewhere down here. And then you've got your everything else, your ferrets, your birds. The reality is all of these beings are worthy of life. All of these beings have souls, and they're all worthy of protection. Vanessa knows this, and she has dedicated her life to ensuring that these chickens who come from some of the most horrific conditions you'll find, that they're taken care of. So I'm honored to call her a friend. Now I'll stop rambling, I promise. Vanessa Dawson, everyone.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you so much. So yes, like he said, that was a beautiful introduction. Thank you. I'm from Penelope's Place, and we also rescued a beagle. AAO rescued a beagle, and we adopted a beagle from them. Her name is Aria, and just dedicating so much to that beautiful baby. So this song that I wanted to sing is dedicated to the beagles, to the cats, to the pigs, to the ferrets, to the mice, to the rats, to monkeys, to anybody that is being tested on. We sing the song for you. You are not hidden. There's never been a moment that you were forgotten. You are not hopeless. Though you have been broken, your innocence stolen. I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to fight you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. There is no distance that cannot be covered over and over. You're not defenseless. I'll be your shelter. I'll be your armor. I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest fight. It's true, I will rescue you. I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear you whisper you have nothing left. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest fight. It's true, I will rescue you. Oh, we will rescue you.
Great job. Yeah, so that was we're gonna hear a slightly different sound, but it's gonna have the same passion. We're just gonna take one moment to get all this set up. While we're doing that, I will briefly introduce Lord Wyatt. So one of the other fights, and we are extended all over the place in terms of battlegrounds, different battlegrounds, but the city of Rochester, as many know, has basically taken a very passive stance and has shown nothing but apathy towards dogs suffering, not in testing facilities, but in backyards, backyard breeding dogs. And it's an epidemic there. These dogs are homeless. They're being fought. They're being starved. They're wasting away in basements. And you have systemic apathy from the mayor's office to the police department to Lollipop Farms to animal control. And they're all basically saying, oh, it's their job. No, it's their job. And these animals are suffering. Well, I'll tell you what, we've taken it upon ourselves. If no one else is doing it, we will. And these dogs are getting liberated. And they're going to be getting liberated through the courtrooms. And they're going to be getting liberated through bolt cutters. But one way or the other, we cannot stand silent anymore. No. We cannot just rely upon writing letters or calling politicians. No disrespect to Mr. Guys, who seems awesome, by the way. But by and large, we've got to do more than that. We've got to fight. Yeah. And with that in mind, with these court cases, I'm honored. I'm lucky to have met Lord Wyatt from the Rochester community, and he has seen over the course of his lifetime these animals that are just being ignored by the police departments. And in fact, entire communities, if we're going to be real about it, that are just being ignored by the police departments. And he said enough. So he reached out and came aboard and came to these court appearances and said, I want to help. And we've been building a bond ever since. He's a talented artist, but an even better person. And I'm glad to have him here. He's going to put out a song for you guys. Well, I'll let him introduce his own song and everything else. But bottom line is, I'm real happy to have him in the movement. I think the bottom line is we're all in this together, guys. And the wider we could stretch, you know, in terms of different swaths of society, like I said, black, white, old, young, doesn't matter. We're all coming together for the right reasons. We're all coming together for a bigger purpose. So with that in mind, everyone, Lord Wyatt.
Matt, thank you. Appreciate the kind words. It's good to see everybody out here. Listen, we about to turn up. We're gonna flood out. Is that their music or our music that's playing? But is theirs? We're gonna flood them out because that's disrespectful. I don't like that. You know what I mean? So we're gonna turn up. Again, my name is Laura Wyatt from Rochester area. Actually, I reached out to Mandy, who's not here, and she pretty much, you know, brought me aboard. I met Matt, Eileen, and Nikki as well. I've been chatting online. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I've been chatting online with a couple of individuals that's in the group and everything. So just appreciate everybody that came out. We the voice of the voiceless, and we are stronger together. So Listen, we gonna get rocking and rolling. And listen, we got one child out here. Any other children? Because I ain't gonna lie, listen, I'm not a professional speaker, but I'm a professional shit talker. So guess what? Ain't nothing getting it's gonna be some language in here.
Fair
All
warning.
right.
Fair warning.
Yeah, fair warning, yeah.
Lord Wide, man. Trust in the Lord. Shout out to the Bucks, man.
Neglect the animals, that's a no-no. All of y'all ain't shit, you know better than them Tomo. How you got that dog under the chain and it's so cold? How you calling that your fur baby in the rip show? Got me pissed off, all that I need to be pissed on. If I made myself push your play after this song, I just told my shit, yeah, leave it up to me. Man, fuck that beat, lock them up, RPD. Give y'all thumbs down like y'all name RVD. All my dog lovers got this shit on repeat. Make RIP to that pup on Third Street. You run the beat, fuck that shit on my beat. Hey, yo, lollipop, what's in the shots? Don't blink, you don't owe me now, you owe the community. Don't act like you blind, I ain't flashing no jewelry. I'm calling y'all peasants cause that shit is foolery. Phone ringing off the hook, y'all don't wanna screw with me. Giving y'all bars, no this ain't new to me. Love me for me, plus the music, see exposing y'all X-rated, no cat nudity. I know they can't speak, I'm the voice of the voices. Legislative choices, 9, 6, 4 choices. Feeling like this, I'm spitting this poison. Yeah, maybe fucking bring the beat back. No, I ain't done yet. Emotion, poet, emotion, flowing. Toast up, I am chosen. No killer unless you push me. I'm the red button. The bars are spit, they sit, get the road with cussing. I don't understand how nobody doing nothing. I can barely sleep like I got a concussion. All of y'all fucking like that bitch with my cousin. Act like y'all can't fuck that huffing and puffing. I seen the video, y'all ain't do shit buffing. On the blue act in the comments is flooding. When it's too late, y'all can't all of a sudden. I did it, it changes. No end of the discussion. One time for the party support and some loving. Now it's too late, don't you ask for forgiveness. I bet you feel pain and the Lord is my witness. Yeah. Let's go. Marshall, y'all next, man. Y'all next on the list, man.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well, yeah. I forgot to say, yeah, I am cooking up something right now to attack these motherfuckers over here. I started doing music so I, can get my point across. You know what I mean? Everybody wanted to silence me growing up. I've actually been bullied growing up. You know what I mean? So music saved my life, and I'm using my platform so we can save the pups and all the other animals, man. Let's go. Close to the Lord, no peasants in the motherfucking palace. Yeah.
Okay, you're watching live coverage from New York of a protest happening outside Marshall Bioresources. You've had speeches, you've had singing, you've had rapping, and it's all for one reason, one goal: to free the thousands of animals that are inside Marshall Bioresources. I want to say that we did have a Democratic congressional candidate speaking in favor of ending animal experimentation. We do not endorse candidates. It was very interesting to hear Aaron Guys speak. A Republican, the incumbent, they are facing off for that congressional seat, spoke just a few days ago. Let's listen to what he said at the time.
We have someone in the crowd here from England. Someone from Washington State. I mean, since I have joined this fight, I have heard from people that have contacted my office from all 50 states. Because this is not just a local matter. Although it's disgusting that this is a local matter, that this is going on right here in New York State. I had a long conversation this week with the USDA and talking about a lot of policy matters, talking about legislation that we're working on, talking about what their criteria and what they're allowed to do under the law with inspections. And they are woefully behind, because the laws on a site like this, they date back to the 60s. You know, these animal testing regulations are far too old. They need to be modernized. They need to be improved.
So both candidates for that congressional seat are advocating against animal experimentation. What a shock. I mean, I would say even a year ago, Hurek, that would have been unheard of. What does that signify in terms of what's happening with our movement?
What it signifies is that when the veil of secrecy of what goes on behind these closed laboratory doors is unveiled, when people see what's going on, and I truly believe once people understand that ending animal research does not mean that humanity is going to suffer because there'll be diseases everywhere. Opposite of that, there'll be cures. If there's no vivisection, people are starting to learn. And it's not just the written books, it's not just the speakers, but I strongly believe that this very recent action is because of the activists such as Wayne Sean and all of the others who broke into the labs. They caused havoc, right? That's what people, unfortunately, our society loves to see havoc, and that's when they pay attention. Otherwise, it's out of sight, out of mind. So when the media, in this case, the internet, started to cover all of the activism, I think that's when the change started to trickle in.
And what you're seeing now is one of the rescues in Wisconsin. There were 2 open rescues. This was the first one. Approximately 24 beagles were rescued and are living in homes in undisclosed locations. But this and the next one, where you had a huge battle between the rescuers and law enforcement, with law enforcement using tear gas against the rescuers. And I could show you a little bit of that, but we have it with sound because it's so intense. Here we go. Here's the other rescue, the second open rescue where tear gas was used in Wisconsin. There's the leader, Wayne Shung, who was arrested. It was just a battle. There were injuries. There were rubber bullets used against these protesters, tear gas. You could actually see the tear gas there at that one moment. It was a melee. And now we're learning that along with the 4 who face charges, including that young man, there will be an additional 51 people who are going to face charges. Now, I have no idea who that 51 are. I have no clue. So if you're seeing people on camera, it doesn't mean they're definitely going to be charged or not. There were almost 1,000 people at that second attempted rescue, but it did get global media attention. And that's the thing, Lindsay Baker, is that people say, well, why don't you just ask nicely? Well, they've been asking nicely for decades now with no results. But now this issue has hit a tipping point. And so this was the tipping point. This is what got global media attention. Almost 1,000 protesters, attempted rescuers getting basically hit with tear gas, rubber bullets, knocked down. You know, it's sad, but in order to get media attention, I've said it a million times, I'll say it again, animal activists have to either get naked or get arrested. And so it's proving true. But now, Lindsay, there seems to be a national uprising. You have a Democrat and a Republican both trying to outdo each other to say, let's end animal testing. Your thoughts, Lindsay?
Well, I'm really hopeful that this is going to make a change happen. But just listening a little bit to the words of the Republican, he said that the animal testing needs to be improved. So whoever does get elected, hopefully will take this seriously, that it needs to end. And it's not just a political issue or a way to get elected or the buzzword to get your, social media clicks, because, a lot of it is that. I don't trust either political party completely or at all, really. So I'm very, very, cautiously optimistic that this will
again,
work.
as a nonprofit, we do not get involved in partisan politics. I want to say that
Right.
100%. It's very important to say that. We are talking about this as a cultural and social phenomenon where for decades, you couldn't get any politician to say anything against animal testing. You couldn't get any media organization to even raise the issue. Oh, it's going to help people. We can't talk about it, right? Saving lives. That's all they would say. Well, now it turns out it wasn't saving lives. There's a lot of evidence that it was wasting taxpayer money, torturing animals for no reason. And now, additionally, we're in the 21st century with organs on a chip, with AI that can solve problems that would take years, quantum computing, ditto, solving problems that could take years in minutes or hours. So and the National Institutes of Health itself have announced that they want to transition toward these 21st century methods and leave animal testing behind. So we're at a crucial inflection point. However, there are still, according to some reports, 20,000 beagles behind the trees that you are looking at there in New York. So let's go. Can we hear from Jamie Sasson, who's there live? Well, there she goes. We don't know what's happening with Jamie, but there we are. Jamie, bring us up to date on what happened today.
Yes, so we have just over probably around 50, anywhere from 50 to 100 people out here at Marshall Bioresources in upstate New York. I'm trying to move away because we have Marshall Bioresources blasting music at us. They have been doing that all day today and yesterday when we were out here. But we just had congressional candidate Aaron Gies address the crowd. And after that, we had a couple of musical performances coordinated by a local rescue organization, Against All Odds Animal Alliance. They took in 8 of the Ridglan Beagles, rehabilitated them, and have adopted them out now. And they're very involved with helping us here with the fight against Marshall Bioresources.
Yeah, and so what's next, Jamie? You're there on the front lines. You know what's happening. You're the one who contacted us. Thank you very much to say, Jane, you need to go live tomorrow where we've got all this stuff happening. And I said, right on. So what's next?
We're going to keep coming out here to have a constant presence to let Marshall know and let the politicians who have committed to ending this know that we're not going anywhere, that we are aware of what's going on behind these trees, and that we're not going to look away until it stops, until all the dogs are rescued, all the animals there. There's around 20,000 dogs, even more cats, ferrets, pigs. Up to around 60,000 animals total. So we will be back protesting August 1st and 2nd. I know that there is some plans with the Save the Dogs movement to do trainings. I believe they're having one in mid-July in New York City. And then we're going to follow that up here in Rochester, New York with our own direct action training, nonviolent direct action, as well as a protest back here at Marshall August 1st and 2nd. And then there will be more to come after that. There will be the March to Abolish Animal Testing in September. It's a coalition of people all around the world working together on this.
Wow, so much happening. It's so exciting. And of course, I always want to bring in my co-host, my Beagle Mix Wednesday, and her sister Sunday down there is a Jack Russell, gets very jealous. And we also have my friend staying with me, and she has a Beagle Mix too. So when I think of this issue, guess who I think of? Little Wednesday.
Yes.
And, it really brings it home. I do want to put up a Marshall Bioresources statement. We're journalists. We offer the other side, and I would like to get some reaction from folks. Marshall Bioresources says breeding animals for use in medical research in the United States is highly regulated and subject to ongoing oversight. Our facilities are regularly inspected by the U.S. Department of Agriculture to ensure compliance. Our most recent unannounced USDA inspection was in May 2026, resulting in a clean report with no citations or violations. And we also maintain voluntary accreditation through AAALAC International, an independent nonprofit that promotes high standards. So what is your reaction to that? Let's round robin it. Your reaction to that. Unmute, please, Jamie.
My reaction is that, of course, they're going to, you know, say whatever they need to try to make what they're doing look less cruel and just outdated and inhumane than it is. They don't have to tell us the whole truth. We have photos here that we printed from Rise for Animals. These were from a whistleblower years back who showed us what the conditions look like in there. It's rows and rows and rows in several buildings. It's a massive facility. If you even look on Google Earth, you'll see. And there's just tens of thousands of animals housed in there in these rows of wire cages. So you can claim that the inspections came back clean. There have been inspections over the years where there have been several violations cited of the Animal Welfare Act. And regardless of that, when you just simply look at the conditions in there, you can see that how cruel and inhumane this is.
Thank you. Stand by while we get reaction from our other speakers. Lindsay Baker, your thoughts?
I just would say then the standards are skewed because like she was just saying, if the animals, you can see how the animals are being kept. And I think it's a matter of minimal standards that they follow. So it's all skewed towards, I believe, helping them to continue what they're doing. And now people are waking up and seeing what's really going on. And I think it's all going to be rethought, hopefully.
Horik, final thoughts?
Yeah, how can anybody possibly believe that humanely an animal can be maimed, poisoned, cut, burned? It's not possible. So whatever the regulation is saying, it's just not humane. We already know that. And I hope more and more people will come to also see that how can possibly anybody expect to find cures for human beings on testing on non-human animals, and that the solution is prevention through good diet, vegan diet, exercise, and clinical research on human beings who have a naturally occurring spontaneous disease. That's the solution, regardless of what Ridglan and others.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Jamie, for alerting us to these events. And we're going to keep covering them here at Unchained TV. My final thought is, having watched this movement for, oh my gosh, more decades than I even care to admit right now, what I notice with all movements is that, well, I didn't say this. Somebody much smarter than me said it. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they get angry at you, then they join you. And we're seeing that progression happen with this issue. And the other thing that people note is that things don't seem to be making any progress. People persevere, no progress. And all of a sudden, there's a collapse. I feel we are at a crucial inflection point with the vivisection movement. Technology and animal activism coming together. I'll give you the ultimate example. You know, at the turn of the century, when the streets were still flooded with horses, the electric car came along, the first electric vehicles. There was an actual parade. We're doing another video about the history of the animal rights movement. And you see the first electric car parade in 1899 in New York City. And at that moment, it was an inflection point. And then 5 years later, you look at the streets of the city and it's 90% cars or 80% cars and 10% animals. And then, of course, today, with the rare, unfortunate exception of carriage horses in New York, for example, which they're trying to end because of all the tragedies. And we just have photos. Actually, we have video of just the latest terrible death of a carriage horse, which just happened recently. But aside from these tragedies, obviously we have cars and we don't go across town in a horse and buggy anymore. So That's how progress happens. It doesn't happen, in a regular order. It's like nothing, and then something collapses. I personally believe animal experimentation is collapsing right now. But the most important thing is to continue the pressure. It's not going to do it on itself. And so thank you very much, everybody who's been bringing us this news. This is breaking news. Share it out. That's what I can tell you. Please follow Unchained TV, download Unchained TV. You can download it on any phone. All you do is go to your app store and put in Unchained TV. We have 2,000 videos and counting on our movement, and you can text them to your friends. See you next time. Bye.
So it's a vegan Netflix. Okay, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I love Unchained TV.
Unchained TV. Your life will change. It's just that easy.
Unchained TV has all sorts of content for everybody.
Unchained TV changed my life.
Unchained TV is crushing it.
I love Unchained TV. Unchained TV is my go-to.
Unchained TV. Who knew?
Unchained, baby. Yes.